Okay, I'm recording.
I'm ready.
Hello and welcome back to Perspectives Podcast. My name is Miguel and I'm here with my co-host Abdul. Last week we discussed the relationship between children and parents, and this week we're going to be covering maintaining your passion throughout your goals. So, without further ado, Abdul, how do you maintain your passion throughout your goals?
Well, I think this one is pretty obvious. Um, it can be simply just discipline, but at the same time, it's also curiosity. I
Mm-hmm.
say curiosity because not only do you need that discipline to like sit at a desk and like work, but let's say
Right.
you're making an album or a composition. You need that curiosity to come up with new ideas and like, oh, what if I tried this today? What if I did that? Or what if I changed the sound of my voice? Those questions are gonna bring you back to the table and help you like sit down and actually create something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, it's a lot. It can get a lot more complex. Personal problems come up. Um, you know, people trying to bring you down, and like that's a different kind of battle. Trying to like keep fighting
Mm-hmm.
through it and fighting through negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I another point. I also think that having genuine people around you will help you like make it to your goals because they want to see you grow in a healthy way, not like constantly nag you, but they'll like be like, bro, what are you doing, son? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
aren't you like doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Right.
Coming from a real place, not
Right.
trying to like make you feel like bad, but like they want to see you on top of the mountain, like they want to see you at number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean
Um,
that's a great
yeah.
point. Kind of. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but there was that point itself is something that I've thought about a lot. I know there's a
Mm-hmm.
saying. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's like you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with.
Right.
Um, Oftentimes, what happens is when you begin to go above that average, um, those five people, hypothetical five people, don't like that. Um,
Mm.
a lot of time, I guess one of the examples I can think about is when one of your family members is getting in extreme shape, like they're starting to work out more and they start to change. Suddenly, your family members might say, "Hey, look, you've changed," or like you're different, Um, and I feel like that happens a lot when people, uh, when you're really close with someone or with people, and you decide that you want to make the changes that you want. I'm not gonna say any positive or negatives because in the end, they're just changes. What's positive or negative is determined by how that affects an individual and how that affects another individual. So,
Right.
another example off of that is let's say you're an athlete and you have a group of friends that play basketball and they love basketball and y'all are grinding together, getting better every day. And suddenly you
Mm.
decide that what I'm doing isn't productive enough. And so instead of like playing basketball with those friends, you decide to play basketball with a different group of friends with higher skill sets that are just better at the game. You come back and you're suddenly better than everyone, and you come back with different ideologies. Those ideologies will clash with your original group of five,
Right.
and they don't like that.
Yeah. Which kind of sucks because it's like like at that point, like, what do you do? Um, you can, of course, you can like leave that group, but like being alone, like it's not a very fun experience.
Oh yeah,
Um,
completely agree.
but also staying with a group of people that only want to make you um like stay at a certain level, like is not also it's also a bad feeling. So you're at that point, it's like you're conflicted.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. So
yeah,
this kind of reminds me of the movie Whiplash. I
I
love this movie to death,
I
and
never
like,
heard of it.
oh, it's about a drummer. It's about a drummer
Mm,
who and let me give you a short synopsis. Um, Andrew, a young aspiring drummer, sacrifices everything to achieve what he deems greatness. And the reason why I say why he deems greatness is because what Whiplash kind of embodies is sacrifice everything and sacrifice everything for greatness, and what happens is you become obsessed on the way. And in short, what the film kind of advertises is that leaving everything behind and sacrificing everything is worth it. Now, I wouldn't completely agree with that, but I get the point. I get what the point it's trying to make.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's kind of crazy is kind of going back to the topic, the main topic of maintaining your goals or your passion through your goals is it's very difficult. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
the first avenue that we went around was kind of the people surrounding yourself with the right people, and that definitely helps, but that's not all of it. Um,
Mm.
what's important to remember is there's no way you're gonna be like 110% feeling great all the time,
Yeah,
motivated. Like
that's
it's not realistic.
it's impossible.
Like there's no way you can be at 110% all the time without a doubt, always grinding. I was listening to a lot of speakers from like kind of those TED talks or whatever, and they all come to the same conclusion, right? Like there, it's not realistic to always be on point. What you
Right.
need to do is you need to find a balance that works well. And
Mm.
it's not that you can be lazy, but it's more of like you need to understand what you're capable of and what you're not, and
Right.
develop a plan and schedule that capitalizes or takes advantage of your weaknesses, and when y- a- and to be efficient with your strengths.
Mm. Right. Um. What was I gonna say? When you are doing the the carnivore diet,
Mhm.
um, how have you personally like made yourself to like stick to the plan, stick to the diet?
Right. So that's a good example. First thing I want to say is I actually have broken the diet recently. Um, and that kind of goes back to the thing. It's very hard to, be in tip-top shape, always dedicated. I'm
Right.
not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's difficult. It's because
Right.
like there's some people in the world that can say I'm gonna do this and they just do it. Right? No questions asked, no excuses, nothing. Nothing gets in their way. And
Kobe.
those are great. Those are great people to be around, to surround yourself with. But for me, with this carnivore diet, some major things that helped me because I did it for almost 2 weeks straight. Only
Mm.
recently have I broken the diet, but I'm gonna get back on it soon. So today I had a very small amount of carbs. Today I ate like fish, like a lot of fish, some eggs. So, but I really want to get back to only like zero carbs or like one or two carbs max per day. Um, but one of the things that helped me a lot is just seeing results, like seeing immediate results.
Mm.
And what happened when I adopted this diet was, or my incentives for adopting this diet was just reading a bunch of benefits that accompany the diet. And, or let me go back a little bit further. Sorry. Um, I was not in the best place. I was physically sick. I think I was mentally sick, and I just felt like everything sucked. I felt
Right.
terrible. So I wanted to address uh, the foundations of my life. So what are things that are bringing me unhappiness? What things are contributing to that unhappiness, and what things do I need to change? One of the three basic things, or the three largest things I knew I needed to change in order to continue uh, and kind of tackle the problems I had was diet. Diet was one of them. Second was like physical well-being. So that
Yeah.
takes into account like, am I exercising? Like, and by with exercising you get endorphins and whatnot. And I guess I want to tie that in with sleep, like sleep and exercise, just making sure you're physically well. And that ties really well with diet. And the third thing is like, what am I doing throughout my day? Like, are the things that I'm doing making me happy, or is it long-term happiness, or is it temporary happiness?
Mm.
So these videos that I spend hours on watching every day, and I still do. It's not like I've completely dropped. I still do. Um, what do those bring me? It's super fucking enjoyable. It's super fucking enjoyable
Yeah.
to watch those short videos with that give you dopamine rushes, you know.
Right.
But like during that time, what else could I have been doing? Sure, let's say I was working that entire time. Um, During that work, I'm not happy. In fact, it probably fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Everyone hates working a lot. Um, no one finds it enjoyable unless like there's some different circumstances in which, you know, you love what you're doing for work. But those things that don't necessarily or that aren't necessarily enjoyable lead to long-term happiness. So
Yeah.
working diligently on a project, you know, making sure all the nooks and crannies are covered and every small thing, so, like all the tedious work, that's not enjoyable. But
Yeah.
the thing that makes you happy is the end result, that satisfaction of completion. And I feel like our modern world kind of doesn't work well with that method, you know, that
Yeah.
long-term happiness method. Because like, if you wanna eat something, order it. If you want to see something, you can instantly pull it up on the internet. You want to know something, instantly internet. Um,
Right.
and I feel like that also ties in with people's creative endeavors, or not even just creative endeavors, goals.
Mm.
Let's say you want to get shredded, like super fucking swole. No one gets shredded in 3 days. It's impossible. Okay. What needs to happen in order to get shredded is you need to develop a plan, develop a diet,
Mm.
develop a workout, and you need to stay on that shit like your life depends on it. Because if you want to get
Mm.
shredded, it's really difficult,
Yeah.
and it's also maintaining. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's kind of like my approach. I'm interested to see how you tackle your projects and or your goals.
Um, a little bit at a time. Like,
Mhm.
let's say I have to, let's see, do 10 pages of illustrations by in a month. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
do it in one night. That's just dumb. One, because my creativity like, will run out in like a couple hours, 3 hours. So
Mhm.
I would sit at a desk and just like go at it for about like 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Walk away from it, come back another 30 minutes.
Right.
Walk away for another 5 minutes, come back. You know, a little bit at a time. And for me, what I've tried to do is I try to make very subtle habits. Like
Mhm.
as a kid, I would doodle every time I'm bored in class, and I made a habit of that.
Mhm.
So now I just naturally just doodle when I'm doodling, I'm practicing, I'm working. So I just like it's easier for me to work on that project. Like I
Mhm.
listen to a boring lecture or while I'm working, that helps. Um, Another thing is um, I ask my not only myself questions, but I ask like my dad questions, for example.
Mhm.
Um, when I'm trying to like it's not necessarily a goal, but like I'm trying to work on like becoming more patient. I would ask him stories about like how he tackled becoming more patient as a father and as a husband. And
Mhm.
those stories will like always be in my head every day. And it's like me trying to live out those stories, like 'cause stories are like are very very interesting. Um, and I'll try to live out those stories, and it makes it easier, you
Mhm.
know.
Right.
Um, it's very very small subtle things. I'm not a very I don't like taking on big projects at like a huge chunks of time.
Mhm.
I have ADD, so I will zone out easily and I'll get distracted.
Right.
But I'll take that to my advantage and work around that and schedule myself or try to schedule myself in these small short intervals.
Right.
And then I will learn to like in those small intervals, my work is like my work um sorry, my work what's the word? My work ethic will be very quality. Like in like let's say 10 minutes, I'll be working diligently for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Versus an hour I'll be half assing it, watching
Mhm.
YouTube and
Yeah. Yeah.
listening
Yeah.
to like and then
Completely
like
agree. Completely
it's
agree.
just crap when it comes out as crap. And it's
Right.
like small
There was
intervals at a time.
But that kind of reminds me of I know it's not everything Jordan Peterson says is gospel, right? But
Yeah.
there's some gold nuggets that he has, and so that's kind of exactly what he says. That's interesting to see that like you have your own application and own methods,
Right.
and own approach. He kind of said that like, look, if you can work diligently for 5 minutes and that's it, go ahead and take that 30-minute break or whatever.
Exactly.
Sure, you've worked for 5 minutes, but you better be damn sure that during that 5 minutes you are actually working and you're 100% focused. Like if you work for 5 minutes and you need an hour to play video games, go do that, right? Because now you have 5 minutes on the board versus having nothing at all. Now the
Right.
the idea is you need to understand that that's not balanced. You can't have 5 minutes in 1 hour. But if that's what you need right now, you need to do that. Your next step is to shift that weight. So now you are 6 minutes, and then you take 59 minutes instead of an hour. You know,
Mm.
of that break, and so on until it's balanced enough, or until it makes sense. Because
Mm.
5 minutes of work and then like playing an hour, like you, I don't wanna critique anything, including myself, my own practices, but that doesn't lead anywhere. Um,
Mm.
Ideally, it's like it's a very balance. You want to balance things out.
Yeah.
I know in American culture, work is like a majority of our lives, and then that's like any free time is like what's left of it, and then we're supposed to develop passions and find the meaning within that rest of the time.
Right.
But it's very interesting to see that as humans, we're all very similar in that regard, and how
Mm.
we separate leisure time and work time. I feel like that is something that's universal, which is kind of which I find it interesting because it's just all in time. Like I know I'm not making much sense, right? But they're
No,
all
I see what you're saying.
they're all activities within time. But why do we differentiate between leisure and work? And I think
Mm.
that primarily depends on whether you can see the long term value or the short term value. Um, so like
What do you mean by that?
right. So here we go. It's much easier and much more enjoyable in the short term to open a bag of potato chips and watch Netflix for three
Mm.
hours or for your entire day. In fact, you're getting dopamine all day. You're getting so much satisfaction. But now you've spent 12 hours eating chips and watching Netflix. Sure as hell was fun at the time, but now you've lost 12 hours that could have contributed to some larger image or larger picture. So,
Mm.
and in fact, within 12 hours, you probably didn't. It's kind of like laying down bricks. In order to build a really, I remember Will Smith said this. In order
Yeah.
to get if you want to build a really, really well done wall, you don't build a well done wall. You put one brick at a time, as perfectly as possible, one at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And kind of going back to the Netflix thing, within that 12 hours, what happens is you didn't put down any brick at all. You're not even building anything at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Um, I was gonna say so. You said something that made me want to say something. um, what was it? I'm sure I'll think of it, but
mm.
I was gonna use an example of chess.
Okay.
I've been playing a lot of short 10-minute games
Mhm.
versus those 30-minute ones. One, because it helps me work on quick decisions to move around my pieces and not, like, take too much time to think about it.
Mhm.
Two, because my attention span cannot listen to last that long. So
Mhm.
after a while, like, I'll start making terrible decisions
Right.
and, like, I'll lose the game.
Mhm.
And I feel like what that does is it's kind of like, I'm gonna use a kind of anime example. Let's say I mastered Super Saiyan, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I can, let's say, I'm fighting this incredible opponent and I'm releasing this amazing amount of energy, but um, I only last for like, I go for 30 minutes, but after the
Mhm.
first 15 minutes, like, it's not the same Super Saiyan. Like, the quality is terrible.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just wasting it. And at that point, he's just toying with me. And he's just
Right.
beating my ass.
Yeah. You ran out of energy.
Right. Now, let's say I went into training and I focused more on, like, the quality, like, of the 10 minutes. Let's say, let's work on controlling and focusing for 10 minutes.
Mm.
And then next time I fight him, I only need 10 minutes to whoop him. Like, that's all I need.
Mhm.
Let me get in the ring for 10 minutes. I'm gonna beat his ass. Simple as that.
Right.
Like, I worked on controlling myself, focusing my energy into one, like, into to the best of my ability.
Mhm.
And that's um I feel like that's not the best, but one of the best ways to, like, keep going.
Right. I mean, it sounds like you're with that Super Saiyan reference. You're like developing two different attributes of the same skill. So the skill would
Mm.
be going Super Saiyan,
Right.
but the two primary attributes of that skill is your power level within that form, and then the duration in which you can sustain that form.
Mm.
Um, and I definitely get it. Like let's say you could have like this insanely large power level,
Right.
right? But you can only do it for 30 seconds. I mean, sure, maybe you can whoop the guy's ass for 30 seconds, but what if he's still standing? Or what if he's not? What if he's not done
That's
30 seconds? Then
that's
you power
true.
down. And
Yeah.
you're like, fuck. And so I guess that definitely that touches on the importance of being flexible, not only being a one trick. And don't get me wrong, I love one
Mm.
tricks. I think that one tricks develop depth more than anybody else. Um, so a good example is, let's say, I love using basketball references. I don't know why. But let's
Mm.
say there's this guy that only shoots threes. And sure, people can say, oh, he can only shoot threes, right? But if he makes it every time, instead of instead of like critiquing it or mocking it, you better study that guy, because
Right.
that guy's making all his threes. There's probably a lot of depth that people don't understand. So even though
Mm.
this guy shoots threes all days, there's something within his technique or form or method of shooting that allows him to drain every fucking three.
Mm.
Um, and so like, I think the reason why their one tricks are so good and so important is because they're references. They're basically references into looking at things optimally. So if someone, let's go back to art. If someone can only draw horses, but they fucking suck at drawing humans,
Mm.
but like they're damn good at drawing horses, like who else are you gonna look at when referencing how to draw horses? You're gonna come to that
Right.
person. You're gonna look at their
Exactly.
work. And it's
Mm.
and a lot of people criticize people that are one tricks, but I think there's a lot to learn. I think they're very underappreciated because like,
Yeah.
look, they've been doing. That's the thing they only do. So they definitely
Right.
know way more than what you know.
Exactly.
Um,
Um. Go ahead.
no, I mean I was just finishing it up, but yeah.
Um. So I mainly, like, paint, like, abstract pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Um. And then I drew a figure for class one day, and this girl was like, I'm finally, you draw like a figure, like you always draw like abstract work, like
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to see a change. But, like, I only do that because I don't know how to draw figures all that well, or paint figures all that well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in terms of, like, my abstract ability, like, I feel, me personally, I feel I've gotten so good at it that I'm doing it on a spiritual level. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
simple, like, move your hand in a certain area. Like, I'm zoning into, like, the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's become intuitive,
Exactly.
and it's like, people will hate on it. Like, well, I don't get what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not necessarily about the other person. It's not to sound egotistic, but it is about you at that point. You're on your own personal endeavors and your own personal strive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and hate, like, people, haters will also be another motivation to keep your passion, like, keep your passions going.
Mm-hmm.
You can either, you want to prove them wrong, or it's like, or you want to show them something. Like, listen, I know you're hating because you have your own personal problems. So
Right.
let me do this so I can show you that it is possible, and that maybe one day that you can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only are you shutting them up, but you're actually helping them and showing them what the new possibilities.
Right.
Um, you know, and that's not, it's not easy. Like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
it's not to have that willpower and that calm state of mind to realize that that's hard, because humans are very, very emotional beings.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, everyone has, like, they approach their emotions different.
Right.
So learning how to control yourself, I think that's like step one when you want to learn how to keep your passions going. How do you control yourself? How do you
Mm-hmm.
stay calm? How do you like um but be like, like the common saying, to be like water. How do you be still?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like step one, other than discipline and the curiosity.
Right.
And it's always gonna take time. That's like, everyone knows that it always takes time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's also why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
Because exactly like you say, it takes time.
Mm.
Um, Getting results right away is just one of the best things ever. It makes everyone
Yeah.
happy. It's
Of
just
course.
that's just instant dopamine. Like you,
Mm.
you want this, instantly get it. I want to draw this, and I draw it perfectly, easy, right? Like,
Mm.
but now when I'm drawing, I fuck up every line. I'm like, dude, I can't draw, and then I get discouraged.
uh,
And that's also comparison. Like, there's so many things out there, and I think there's so many ways to view so many things at once.
mm.
That it's really easy to compare things.
Mm.
Now, take this for example. For instance, if you are if you are a sculptor and you're sculpting, or you're a musician, um, in modern in our modern world, because we have the internet and we have so much connectivity, you can literally view the best musicians in the world.
Yeah.
Um, Go back several hundred years, the only musician you know is yourself or any other local musicians. Um, and by that, you strictly have less things to compare yourself to. So if you are an aspiring musician several hundred years ago, or aspiring sculptist or sculptor, the only reference you have is yourself,
Right.
and it's very easy to compare you and yourself from yesterday. Now, what ends up happening is you're comparing yourself with the best. The reason why you're viewing these things is because people agree that those things are good. So all these Instagram pages that you're seeing of all these people being successful in whatever they do, the reason why they're visible to you is because they're literally the best, or they're
Yeah.
the most popular. Of course you're going to compare that. You're going to end up comparing yourself with them.
Mm. Do you think that in this time where you can constantly compare yourself, do you think that will help? I f- no,
Um,
I feel like that in depending on the person, it can make like the craft go a lot farther,
yeah,
because you know
completely
what's
agree.
already been done. Yeah,
Mm,
you know what's already been done, and you feel like, oh, don't do that, but I'll learn from what you did and I'll go to the next step.
right. That's a great
Versus like
point.
someone back like 100 years ago, their growth is um like very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you, mm,
No, I know what you mean, right? So back
yeah,
then, that's a great point that you made. So although I said some negatives about our modern world, the point you made was really good, because now with our
mm,
modern world we have so many references.
right,
So what that means is it has potential to increase your ceiling.
mm,
Um, Back then, your only reference is yourself, so you can only be as good as what you yourself are. Now you see now you can see so many different approaches and people that have higher skills than you, so you know what to look out for, you know what to develop. um, and what ends up happening is, ideally what ends up happening is the ceiling keeps getting pushed further or higher and higher because it's a collaborative effort now.
Mm. Another another point I wanted to make, it's gonna sound weird, but my advice is to anyone is to study nature. Nature is the most efficient system in this world. You like if you go like in the woods during fall and like look at rivers flowing around and how the trees are changing colors at their own pace and how the leaves are falling, the birds are moving and they're building their nests and preparing for winter,
Mm-hmm.
and like listening to the sounds, like how efficient it is. You can learn a lot, like um simply from a leaf falling from the to the ground. Like just watch how that leaf moves. It doesn't go straight down. It doesn't like rush itself. It goes with the wind. It's slowly. Sometimes it goes up and then it falls down. It does some like little flips. Like it has some fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it flows away, lands in the water, goes on the water, flows down the river, hits a rock, stops at the rock.
Mm-hmm.
Um, another leaf hits it and then goes down the river, and then a fish comes in, and the fish hits the leaf and it flies away. It's so beautiful. Like you learn so much from it.
Mm-hmm. And there's more than one leaf.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
if you drop 100 leaves down, not all of them, kind of referencing what you said, not all of them hit the ground at the same time. They all
Exactly.
have their own paths. They all do their own things.
Mhm.
The leaves are different shapes and sizes. They have bends in different places, which
Mhm.
also determine the which way they're falling, how fast they're falling.
Exactly. And none of them are in the wrong. Like 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 they're all gonna reach the ground, or they're all gonna land at their destined spot at some point.
Mm.
Um, I know that. Um, for example, me, like comparing myself to my brothers or people around me, quote unquote successful. Like they all have landed in their spot,
Mm.
and that creates anxiety.
Right.
But like, but let me think about this. Like, for me personally, wouldn't it be more enjoyable to be in the wind and flying instead of on the ground? Like,
Mm.
wouldn't it be more enjoyable to like feel that breeze? So like for me, like saying that to myself, okay, like this is an enjoyable moment. I'm flying right now. I'm gliding in the wind.
Mm.
So let me just take my time, not worry about the other leaves because they hit the ground, or some of them are still on the tree. I'm just chilling. So like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Mm.
Like and I should be enjoying it, even though my own um ingratitude and my own personal problems um deny me that peace. But I should be enjoying it.
Mm.
You know, I'm probably be the most free I'll ever be in a long time. Like I don't have that many responsibilities.
Mm.
Um, I'm in school. Like um, I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. Like this is the time to like just enjoy it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you said something along the lines of, "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be."
Yeah.
I definitely agree like tenfold with that statement. Um, cause I'm an existentialist. I'm a
Well,
believer that everything like so. There's all. I don't really entirely believe in destiny or what is it? What's another synonym for destiny? What's the common
like
des-
fate.
fate? Ah, exactly, fate.
Yeah.
I am of the belief that everything results from something else. So the
Mm.
reason why you're exactly where you are, doing the thing that you are doing right now, is because of something you've done or has happened to you in the past.
Right.
So the reason why you're in the United States, for me, the reason why I'm sitting here in this computer chair talking to you, is because my parents uh, came over from the Philippines and then decided to live a life over here. And then I went through school, blah blah blah, and I made these decisions that got to me into this place, and then they all kind of lead up exactly to where I am right now, doing this right now.
Mm.
So that's my belief, and I definitely love that statement that you said. You'll be exactly where you need to be, and here's the thing: it's not always like a positive thing.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
make bad decisions and you do like things that lead you down, I want to reiterate once again that like good and bad is relative. So
Mm.
like not like the things that you deem good and the things that you deem bad, right? It's all relative, right? I
Yeah.
want to get that across, but you're in good places, or what you determine good and bad places because of prior decisions you made. And once another thing I want to say is sometimes there's things that are out of your control. So let's say you want to go get Jersey Mike's, or you want to go grab a sandwich, so you get in your car. I mean, who knows? Like maybe some drunk guy runs into you, and then suddenly you're paralyzed, from the
Mm.
neck down. Like, I mean,
Damn.
here's the thing, though. You are the one to decide to go get Jersey Mike's at that specific time.
Right.
So, although that was out of your control, of just like, you know, getting
Mm.
into a car crash because of someone else's negligence, like, you ultimately made the decision to go out and drive at that specific time. Sure, you're unlucky, but
Mm.
actions that you made resulted in you being in that situation.
Right. Like another example of that would be in chess. Like the moment you move your first piece,
Mhm.
I think the game has already been decided.
Mhm.
I feel like it. Not that saying that the both opponents know what the game is gonna be, but I feel like there's only a certain amount of possibilities that can happen.
Mhm.
Um, if that makes sense.
No, no, I completely get it.
Mm. Alright, I looked it up once. I think it's like 220 million possible outcomes in
Mhm.
chess. But now
Yeah.
let's take it to a world perspective. There are 7 billion people. There are so many different um, other factors, outside factors, like trillions of outside factors that can happen.
Mhm.
So it's kind of, you, this is beyond my comprehension because it gets too complicated.
Mhm.
There's too many factors to think about. My mind can't go that far.
Yeah.
Um, um, but yeah, but that's when you were saying that, um, like how, um, like, um, like the good and the bad. Like not every outcome is good. Like that's why a person should also have good outside influence.
Mhm.
Like they can see something. They might have an intuition about where you might fall, and they can like blow you or push you away into a different direction,
Mhm.
and that might possibly help you or um, possibly make it worse. I don't know. Like
Right.
I said, my mind can't go that far. But it's good to have those good outside influences, whether it be from family to people you look up to, like celebrities or scholars or athletes, whoever.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
so many. Yeah.
like going back to that leaf reference, you had said like leaves sometimes bump into other leaves, and that's exactly what
Mm.
this is, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, there was someone I can never remember the speaker who said statements that I remember, but so we are ultimately we think of ourselves as individuals, but what we really are spheres of influence. So like, you think that like you're an individual, you don't have much impact, but rather y- you're more of a network. You are a part of
Mm.
a network. So what happens on your end of the network also relays to the other side of the network. And the thing
Yeah.
is, everyone is a part of a network. So I might, for instance, I influence you, and so that's like I know you, and that's our two-person network. But the thing is, you know someone else, so you now have some type of information and some wisdom to share with them. But the
Mm.
thing is, the person you share also knows someone else, and it just goes on and on. We're actually a much larger um, influence on a lot of people, whether we know it or not. Um,
Right.
and so, kind of like once again with the leaf reference, bumping into someone or bumping into a leaf uh, completely can change the trajectory of your destination.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. You know, um, like let's say you you're in school and you're like you have this plan. You're gonna accomplish like amazing things in school, and then the girl comes along. And it's like, damn. And then like you spend most of your time with her, and like um you forgot about everything you were going to do, everything that you had planned.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but who's to say that's a bad thing? Because maybe those achievements would have made you feel worse about yourself. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Like maybe that girl would have gave you a different kind of confidence rather
Mm-hmm.
than getting confidence from those achievements. I'm not sure. There's too many factors.
Right.
Um, what else I gonna say? Um, what was I gonna say? I keep forgetting. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
who's to say?
there was the girl reference you made. I thought of an example or like how it relates. So the reason why you met this girl, or the chance that you met this girl, imagine this: she's deciding whether or not to work at two different places. There's these two companies that are willing to hire her.
Mm,
Decisions that she makes ultimately end up whether you interact with her or not. So you're working at this company, and so your company is willing to hire her, but she has other options. The reason why she chose this company that you're in is because it's closer to home. That one decision may, dictate whether or not it interacts with you or not, or like the leaf.
mm,
Um, so, similar to your example, you interact with this girl and she gives you more confidence. The only reason why you had the opportunity to interact with this girl is because she chose, out of her many different options, she chose this location because it was closer to you. And that goes down to
mm,
proximity again. And then now, because
mm.
of her choice, you will now somehow end up with more confidence of her decision too, which is kind of crazy, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
her small decision of, oh, this place is closer to me, and then suddenly like 3 months down the line, or like 2 months down the line, like suddenly you're way more confident, or
That's
now you're in a
crazy.
relationship or whatever. It comes
Life
down
is
to that
weird,
very
man.
small things.
Yeah.
And then let's say she didn't choose that, she chose another company. Maybe you will never have the chance to interact with that person.
Mm. Yeah.
And then I guess like fate says like you're bound by each other, and somehow some way you'll interact. I mean I'm not a big believer in that, but I'm sure someone has some good arguments.
Mm.
I just can't see it. Like the way I see the world is those decisions dictate what happens in your life.
Mm. Um, I'm gonna go back to the chess example.
Mhm.
I was watching some videos and they say the that grandmasters don't necessarily think like 10 moves ahead.
Mhm.
They only think like 2 or 3 or 4 moves ahead. And they just do like simple moves and like very, to the point, like specific moves, like um, um, and it's like, mm, it's hard to see like what's going coming up ahead. Like maybe your third move might interact with someone's first move. I don't know where I was going with this, but
Mm-hmm.
if that was making any sense.
No, I get it. I saw that, like, because
Mm.
you and I have been playing some chess, you know.
Yeah. This world's crazy, bro. There's too much stuff I don't know.
Hmm. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that people don't know. I think there's
Mm.
only what limits us is time. So like, if everyone is immortal, everyone would have the opportunity to experience everything. But that's not
Right.
the case. We have a numbered amount of time.
Mm.
Um, and even still, right? Like, how many years does it take to like learn a skill, and then like,
Mm.
because I can learn how to draw a line, right? And that's fairly simple. I can learn that at a young age. But how do you draw?
Mm.
How do you illustrate like many things? How do you illustrate a nose, right? But that's not the end of that. You know,
Mm.
eventually you get to the point where you can illustrate a full-blown person and many different forms. But even then, that's just one thing. All right, I'm sorry,
Right.
that's not one thing. That's a series of many things that we think is one thing, right? Like, drawing a
Mm.
body isn't just one line. It's drawing multiple limbs, and even the limbs you need to know a lot. So
Yeah.
drawing a forearm isn't just two sets of lines. That's a cylinder. That's definitely not true. Um,
Mm.
a forearm has different shapes and sizes, and there's not only one instance of forearms, but there's different angles too.
Exactly. Um, I have two questions for you. The first one, do you believe in monism?
I'm not familiar.
It's like kind of like what Toto was saying, like everything is one.
Yeah,
Like it comes from a single source.
yeah, I'd say I believe in that.
Mm. And my second question is kind of off topic, but someone asked me the question that if you were given $500 million today, like at this moment, but the catch is the moment you turn 65, you pass away. But you have a perfect health until 65. But once you turn 65, you pass away. Would you take that?
Ooh, uh, 55. I'm 21. I would probably take it.
mm.
Um,
I would definitely take it.
right. I mean, the way
65 is retired.
yeah, the way I thought about it is like, if I were to take the $500 million now, the quality of life within those 44 years
Mm-hmm.
has many more opportunities to be like better, in short. So if I don't take that $500 million, I'm sure I could have I'm sure I could have a pretty good life regardless. I think I
Mm.
could create opportunities and find my own way to do things and survive some way somehow. Um, but the thing is, I think the amount of money that you have can open up opportunities to enjoy those 44 years
Yeah.
more so than if you had more time and less
Mm.
money. And that kind of goes down, that kind of like, if you boil it down, that kind of represents how the importance of money. And a
Mm.
lot of people say like money isn't everything and whatnot, and the
No,
cliche like,
it's a huge factor.
I think, and oh yeah, the cliche, money doesn't buy happiness, right? But they forget to mention that money provides opportunities for happiness. It
Mm.
doesn't buy it. It
Ooh, I
doesn't
never
buy
heard
it for
someone say
sure.
that.
It definitely. I remember thinking about this like way back as a kid. I remember I was all of a sudden, money doesn't buy happiness. Do what makes you happy and whatnot. And then it just became so simple to me. It was like, sure, it doesn't buy happiness, but if you had $100 billion, you know, there would be less problems to make you less happy, and
Exactly.
whatever you want to try, you have the ability to do so without any additional stress.
Mm. And not only that, let's say you get married and have kids. You have generational wealth at that point.
Hmm.
Your kids will live pretty well off for their lives,
Uh huh.
and you continue the tradition.
Right.
But if you, yeah, yeah, I would definitely take the money, no doubt.
Because 65 years is still it's still I. So I've been thinking about age recently because every passing
Mm.
day I'm getting older and then like fuck like I'm no longer a kid anymore, yada yada.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like people don't like getting old. I think it's terrifying. I think it's a natural thing to want preservation and youth, because like as you get older, you're getting closer to death, and you just
Mm.
have less time. I think time is a huge thing that everyone is concerned about, whether they know it or not. Um,
Mm.
Time. I'm always thinking about time, whether I have time or not. How much time I have left? What can I do with my time? Um, it's fucking scary, man. Sometimes.
Yeah. I have a question going on from that. You say you're 21, right?
Uh-huh.
In those overall, in the 21 years you've been alive, what is one thing, if not one thing, two things that has kept you going throughout your day, like overall?
Kept me going throughout my day. I'd say I think the biggest thing is like possibility of experiencing more things,
Mm.
like knowing that there's more things out there. Because if like,
Mm.
for instance, if there's nothing else beyond what you've already experienced, like there'd be that's kind of pretty depressing. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
left to know. There's nothing left to experience. So like, what else is there? I think that's one of the driving factors, and I think that might be
Mm.
universal. I don't know entirely sure. Um.
Sword. Yeah, I think it'd be because I was gonna say that. I feel like art was like the one thing that's always been there. And,
Mm,
like me trying to find the next idea or the
mm,
new like this new project. I feel like that's sort of pretty similar, like to new experiences
mm.
and new possibilities. Yeah, 21 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have known that
Yeah.
this is what I would be at 21?
Dude, like 6 years ago, I wasn't even. I was like, I wasn't even thinking about this, like age or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm
Right,
still young. I'm still a kid. Easy.
right. I used to think that like I was not gonna die at like 17. Like I'm only 17. I'm not gonna die. Like what?
Mm.
And now it's like, oh damn, I can lose my life at any moment.
Yeah. Like the moment I turned. So like, what's kind of weird is from my years from 16 to 20. Like when I was 16, I felt the same. I felt like I was still 16 when I was 17, 18, 19. But the moment I hit
Mm,
20, I was like, oh shit, I'm 20.
really?
Yeah, like the reason why I say 16, it was like 16, I feel like I'm still a kid, you know?
Mm,
When I was when I was 17, 18, 19, the way I viewed myself age-wise was very similar to the way I viewed myself when I was 16. But the moment I
mm.
hit that 2, the crazy 2 with the 20, I was like, holy
and
shit. I'm 20
you're not no
years old.
teen.
Yeah. I'm 20 years old. I'm a grown adult.
Mm. Have you have you watched any videos of your old self before?
Yeah, sometimes. Like very small glimpses of myself.
Uh, um, for me, like when I see myself like 2 years ago, 5 years ago, I'm like, damn, that was me. Why my voice sound like that? Why is it so high?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, yeah,
And
I
I'm like,
remember.
and then like, um, and that sometimes those videos like make me wanna keep going.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like, damn, look at the difference. Like I'm much wiser, smarter, more composed than before. Like what would happen if I took 20 more years?
Hmm.
Like what would I be like then? And like that idea or that possibility, like I wonder.
Hmm.
Like I was saying before, like the curiosity like comes in,
Right.
and like humans just want to know. Humans want to know things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They'll go through great extents to know things. Like imagine the first person that dissected a human body. Like what the heck? Like you cut open a person just to find out what's inside. But
Hmm.
that curiosity led to neurosurgeons and doctors, and we learn more about the human body. We can live longer now.
Uh-huh.
Like what would like what would happen in the next 100 years? Like, it's scary to think about.
Hmm. I remember as a
Very
kid, I
scary to
used
think
to,
about.
when I was really, really young, like when I was maybe like 8 or something. I don't remember, like a very young age. I used to
Mm.
cry like every night before I went to sleep because I was like, dude, we're gonna die one day. Like eventually we
Oh.
all die. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I remember, I don't know how long, but like every night I would think about it and I would just cry like hard.
Mm.
I think maybe it was several days, like I think like weeks. I would just do it every night.
Damn. You were 8?
I was really young. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but every night I would just cry hard.
How did you, like, did someone tell you that you're gonna die someday?
I mean, like you kind of, I think
You
through
think about
media
it?
or like movies or something or something. I
Mm.
was like, and then like people get older, and I kind of like put two and two together. Like eventually you don't exist, or something along the lines. Eventually you die.
Mm.
I wasn't scared of like, premature death or a non-natural death, or oh yeah, a non-natural death. I was terrified of just like dying, of like old age or
Mm.
like dying a natural death. And I was thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna get older and older, and then eventually I die.
Mm.
Yeah, I
You
don't.
still have those fears?
No, no, not at all.
Mm.
Not at all.
Mm.
I mean, for sure,
Uh,
it would definitely suck if I died anytime soon. Like, I
mm.
would be kind of blown. I think everyone would be kind of blown.
Like, damn, bro, why?
I think what ends up happening more is it affects the people that you interacted with more than the person itself. Because like
What do you mean?
once you die, there's really nothing left to experience. Like you can't
Mm.
feel any emotion, or I mean, who I really don't know, right? Because I have no experience, and
Right.
there's no people that have like anecdotal evidence of saying what dying feels like, or what or.
Mm.
But when like the people it affects the most isn't the person who died, but rather the people they interacted with and the people they knew, because then they mourn and carry on, because they still have the ability to think about the person and the fact
Mm.
that they're not there anymore.
Mm. Damn. That hit different a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
because when you die, right, you can't mourn for yourself. You're already dead.
Yeah.
Your parents will mourn, your family, the people close to you will mourn, and they probably feel
Mm.
terrible.
Yeah. I feel like rain is a when it comes to like when you see funerals and in movies, I feel like rain is a beautiful um what is the word? It fits perfectly
Oh,
because it's just constant water coming down, tears falling.
it's a good metaphor.
Uh, yeah, it's kind of poetic. And then the rain eventually stops, and then it's over, and the light comes out,
Mm-hmm.
and then another day it rains. It's a cycle.
Right.
The water goes back up into the sky, into the clouds, and it comes
Mm-hmm.
back down again. It's really jumping back and forth, which is kind of weird
Uh huh.
between ground and sky. I wouldn't want to leave this world the wrong way.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be one of my worst regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially to my parents.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think for most people, they want to die a natural death.
yeah.
Um, Dying of like an overdose kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Same result, right? But it's the method in
Mm.
which one
Ex-
dies.
yeah. Like how you took your last breath makes a big difference. Those small factors make a big difference.
Hmm. I remember there was this really good video, kind of like saying some inspirational quotes or whatever.
Mm.
I don't know what to really call it because it was like some person that was reading quotes from like Greek or Roman philosophers or whatever.
Uh,
Um, or it was like a Stoicism video.
oh, okay, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah, yeah.
about.
You know what? I don't know what
With
to call
those
this.
with the statue faces
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
thumbnails.
They have some good ass quotes, right?
Yeah.
But those videos are. I mean, I enjoy them because it's like, damn, like that's some fucking. Those are some bars, like straight up bars.
Yeah. Have you read the Art of Communication?
No, have not.
It's I think it's one of my favorite books.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I've read How to Win
um,
Friends and Influence People. I think that's also like kind of
How
the
was
same category.
how'd you like that one?
It's alright. Like I think
Mm.
there's a lot of things I learned, but like kind of like the book mentioned, like you need to read the book like often. That way you can like
Mm.
definitely like develop the skills.
Right.
Because like reading it once isn't like reading it once and
Yeah,
done is
it's
like
not.
you need to read it often and then like try and apply it all the time.
Mm. I've run out of ideas. My mind is blank right now.
Oh yeah, that's no problem. We can end it here.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Perspectives Podcast. Next week we're gonna be talking about um a person's flaws and weaknesses and how to deal with them. I thank you guys for listening to another episode. We really appreciate you guys. You guys can leave comments for any ideas you guys want us to talk about. Thank you guys again. Have a nice day or night. Thank you.